What's up, guys? It's McNulty here. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. Good news, we have got our first batch of heroes, and in fact our second batch of heroes as well, that have been announced for the Soul Exchange, which is coming up on Monday the 24th of June. So we have 10 heroes that we know out of the 15 heroes that are going to be in the Soul Exchange. And there are some really good ones. I mean, it's not quite on the same level as the last Soul Exchange was, but it's pretty damn close. So we're going to have a look at these heroes. Of course, I will be doing a bigger breakdown when they do get released into the game. But for now, just to go over my initial thoughts on the heroes that we've got released. So we'll start off with our kind of booby prize, if you want to say that, in the portal, which is this guy, this shroud of a hero looking like he's, doing a disco back in the 1970s or something. We know unmistakably who this hero is. It is, of course, Shakozrot. And I want to say that rot at the end of the name is pretty appropriate for this hero because he is a rotten hero. I mean, even from release as a hero of the month, I did max this hero and I did think he was going to be really good because he's damage to all enemies and he gives the immunity to new buffs. But he's just too slow. He doesn't do enough damage, and he's really not that good of a hero. I think he's probably going to be in the 10 soul category. And I just don't think that he is really worth leveling or even considering for 10 souls. So we're going to skip over Shakozrot for now. Like I said, I'll do a bit more detailed review on him in the game, but to be fair, he's a pretty rotten hero. So I would leave him alone to start off with. Now, our second dark hero that we have, on the other hand, that was shown to us is this lovely lady. And she is currently in the batch of heroes that you can get in the Fated Summon. But now they have released her costume. And of course, it's the one, the only Guardian Panther with costume. So this hero, I'm thinking she's probably going to be featured at the 20 soul tier. I might be wrong. You know, there is still time for things to change and hopefully she's not. But she is a freaking awesome hero. I mean, massive damage to all enemies running at fast speed, giving the negative defense against dark for 3 turns, and then giving the immunity to new status effect buffs for 3 turns. So if you were playing the game, maybe I think about a year ago or so when she was released, maybe just over a year and a half ago, you would have seen dual Guardian Panthers just dominating and going up against them at fast speed. If they fire off back to back, they can wipe an entire team. Now, it's not going to be to that same degree nowadays because the heroes are coming out much more powerful. But if you add second limit breaks and emblems, in fact, I've seen this with Guardian Panther's buff. If you add second limit breaks and emblems, she's on the same team power as Fizzcoil. And Fizzcoil is one of our newest heroes in the game. So one of the newer heroes in the game, shall we say. So with her costume bonus, the fact that she's doing that insane amount of damage and immunity to status effect buffs, plus the other side of the costume, you've got that dispel, plus you get the opportunity to level a dupe because she's in the portal. Just saying, I think she's a pretty damn good choice. And even if she's at the 20 soul tier, I think she is a really good hero for anybody to consider in the upcoming Soul Exchange. Now, she is our second dark hero. Our third dark hero is this one. Initially, I couldn't really make it out. But, you know, once I saw the card, it became extremely obvious. So this is obviously Nyx. From the Styx family heroes. You can see pretty dated stats on the Styx family. They haven't done much with the Styx family heroes. And initially Nyx was quite a desirable hero. But now looking over her card, again, you know, it's 2024 and we've got some super powered heroes in the game. You really need to get her to at least the second charge for her to be doing anything decent. You know, 300% damage to all enemies and a negative 34% defense for 3 turns at average speed is something that would have been awesome, you know, not that long ago, maybe a year ago now. But I mean, now it's not really comparable to other heroes. So if you think about with Guardian Panther, costume, like we just looked at a second ago, she's giving 280% damage to all enemies at fast speed, and the defense down against dark, and the immunity to new status effect buffs, which are all really desirable skills. Plus the stats are higher, so the damage is going to be higher. With Nyx, she's going to be nowhere near that unless you're able to get her to that final charge, which is, 335% damage to all enemies, increasing 50% attack for all allies, and all enemies getting negative 44% defense. But for me, getting a hero to third charge nowadays is nearly impossible. So yeah, I'm not thinking that Styx is probably going to be a good choice. So far out of the darks, I mean, Guardian Panthers definitely ruling the roost for me. Now, our next batch of heroes I will go over the holy heroes next. When I saw this chef's hat pop up, I was just over the moon. She's probably one of my favorite heroes. I pulled in a Halloween portal, and I pulled pretty hard at that time, and I got her, and I got Miriam and Midnight. And I obviously maxed Miriam and Midnight right away. And then Miriam and Midnight was nerfed. And I was like, oh shit, I've only got left with this weird muffin girl, Matilda. Obviously, if we don't know by now, that's who it is. Who I couldn't understand the special. I was like, okay, well, this doesn't really commute. She's giving fiends. And then the fiend is then increasing the damage from ailments. And I was like, but hang on. I paired her up with Costume Rock. And I was like, whoa, so her poison damage is increasing by 50%. His sand damage is increased by 50%. Plus they've got the fiend, so it's harder for them to heal away and to negate that damage. So Matilda is a pretty beastly hero. Honestly, if you have any kind of ailment dealing heroes that you kind of like playing around with, but you're thinking, in some cases they're not quite as strong as you'd like them to be, this is a really, really good choice for you guys. I've heard rumor or seen rumor that she may be featured in the 10 soul tier. I certainly hope she is, because I think she's an absolute steal. Even at 15 souls, I think she's definitely worth it. So if you don't have anybody on your team who can increase ailments, and there's only really 2 5-star heroes that can do the same kind of effect, but Matilda just does it better than anybody else. So she's a really, really good hero to consider. Do not sleep on this one. And then who else do we have here? This guy, Tony the Tiger. He's unmistakable. Obviously our Lunar New Year hero, and we had the Bunny Zhao 2 featured in the last portal. We now have the Tiger Lao Hu, and he's pretty staunch. I mean, his stats are okay. They haven't boosted the stats for the Lunar New heroes, but with the progression of the game, we are going to be seeing stat boosts for a lot of heroes. So I wouldn't say to focus too heavily on the stats in a lot of cases. When it comes to heroes of the month, the stat boosts are a lot fewer and farther between. But when it comes to families of heroes, they will be boosting the stats up, whether it's through costumes or whether it's through boost to the original heroes. And I think if they don't release enough costumes, they will have no choice but to boost the original heroes. So I wouldn't let that put you off. If you don't have a hero with that minion passive, Lao Hu is a really, really good consideration. Bear in mind, they do not work against the Mega Minions, and we are seeing a lot more Mega Minions, even with the Slime heroes that are released recently, and also obviously the Garrison Guard, the Goblins. We are just going to be seeing more and more Mega Minions and not quite as many regular minions. But if you struggle when you go up against heroes like Water Pipe, Lady of the Lake, this is your guy. He's fantastic. Nice, decent, high damage hit, and also he boosts his health by 50% of the damage, so he can really hold his own and survive very well on defensive teams as well. So a really good hero. Even at 15 souls, I think he's going to be a good one. I think that's where he's going to be. He's either going to be 10 or 15. Actually, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe this last one that we're going to look at. So this guy, unmistakable. That halo around his head. Not so long ago, he would have been an absolute premier hero as well. But it is none other than Jekun or Jaquan. I've heard people pronounce his name all sorts of ways. I just think that you're going to regret it. If you do pick this guy, I really don't know why you're picking him. I'll be totally honest. I mean, 200% damage to all enemies at very fast speed is pretty cool. He does give a plethora of different effects, and he does get the troop damage modifier, and he does spawn the power gem. So those are all good ticks in the right boxes for him. But he's really not going to help you out that much either on defensive team. If I see this guy on defense, I'm not going to be really scared of him. I'll just bring a cleanse. When he goes off, I'll take the damage and then I'll cleanse away all of those nasty effects. And if he's on offense, he's just not going to hit hard enough for you to be able to damage the team or do anything significant, when he fires off or even after he fires off. So yeah, he might be at 15 souls. I'm not sure. I think he's probably the newest one out of the releases, so I'm expecting him to be at 20. But I'd like him to be at 20 because then it means Matilda and Tiger Boy are at a lower tier mark. But that being said, I'm gonna leave it at that with Jaquan, whatever you want to call him. Just don't pick him and then tell me I didn't tell you so when you regret leveling him. Okay, so that is it for all the holy heroes. Now we do have a single ice hero. So we have this little hero chick with the hood and the knives. She is from the Valentine's family. So it is the little monster that is Himeros. Interesting that she's featured in this one. I know that we did have Cupido in the last one, so it was probably, only a matter of time before we saw more of the Valentine's heroes. So she has a really interesting skill, obviously running at very fast speed, a priority dispel to the target. If you're playing at a higher level, a hero like this is really, really going to do you well because you need that priority dispel within the first 2 turns. You can get rid of a buff from somebody like Ludwig if he's got his auto taunt up, and you're good to go. The rest of her special isn't that great. It's pretty good, but she deals a good amount of target damage to the target. And then her and her nearby allies' special skills deal an additional 40% damage for 3 turns. So you can take advantage of that. You want to be running her on a fast blue team. For myself, if I did take Himeros, it would be a case where I would put her alongside somebody like Pop Hit and maybe somebody like Satori, like a trio there of good hard hitters. I'd target with Himeros first, dispel the buff, and then go to town with Pop Hit, and then go to town with Satori. And because she's increased the damage from their special skills by 40%, if I do have another 2 matches, she's ready to go again pretty quickly. So she could be a really, really useful hero. Yes, a bit dated stats, but she is increasing damage from special skills, which is going to apply to your newer heroes as well. And she gets that all-important priority dispel. So I think she's probably a really, really good choice. We'll have to see who the other blues are as to what sort of tier level she comes in, just as a guess, because I know... what's his name? Cupido. I took last one. I think he was 20. She may be 20. She may be 15. I think we might be lucky. We'll see. So maybe 15. And then on to the fire heroes. So the first of the fire heroes that we have is this lovely lady here. She is, looks like she's wearing some kind of wedding dress. I don't know who she's getting married to. Maybe Stirrups. My favorite hero, Stirrups. So she, Erebus, obviously we know this is Erebus. She's an interesting hero. I mean, she is a minion destroyer, but then she's not going to work well against the mega minions. Obviously, she's just going to cut down half of the health rather than destroy the minion. But she was really effective as a sniper because she destroyed the minion first and then does a good hard hit. At the first charge, it's 470% damage, which is okay at very fast speed. Second charge, it is 580% damage, and then she sort of disables the target from summoning minions. I'm not sure whether this disabling affects against the mega minions. I know that the destruction doesn't, and I know that most effects which say just minion don't impact mega minions, but it'd be interesting if it would be disabling heroes like the Garrison Guard from their passive triggering, or disabling other heroes that summon mega minions from being able to do that. So that's probably one of the only reasons, but then I'm trying to find reasons to justify the hero or picking the hero. I think she's going to be at 10 souls, and I don't think you're going to be able to use her everywhere. She's a good sniper. If you do need a hard-hitting red sniper, then it's probably one to consider, but that would be the only reason why I would consider going for her over any of the other heroes in here. Now, our next red hero that was released. Now, this one has kind of whet my appetite. I am, pardon me, I'm very excited that this hero has been released into the Soul Exchange. It's a bard hero. I'm just gonna, obviously it's given away by now. So it's Phonexa. Okay, so Phonexa is an awesome healer, but she's not just a healer. She does so much more than that. So she gets the Bard family bonus, which gives the mana increase, which is really important. You can put her with somebody like Khufu, for example, and get him to fire off at average speed. She recovers a good amount of health, 42% health. It's not enough to get rid of like some of the bigger fiends and things like that we're seeing, or take away certain effects. She doesn't have like a cleanse or a dispel, which is kind of a downer. But the duration of buffs is reset for all allies. So somebody like this alongside somebody like Ludwig, for example, you get the 6-turn mana and then you refresh him for another 6 turns and he keeps on going. So it's kind of like an indefinite refresh that you can get going if you plan around her well. Then she also increases critical chance for all allies for 4 turns and gives a nice hefty 50% attack boost. So you're increasing the chance to deal double damage with tiles, and you're increasing the attack by 50%, which is a huge amount and for a good duration of time. So she's not just a healer, she's a lot more than a healer. And she gets that cool passive where she stops reviving heroes as well. So she can be really useful in the rush format as well for stopping heroes like Mother North, Alberic, whoever else you want to bring for the revives. Really good hero. I'm hoping that she is featured at 15 souls because the next one that we're going to look at in a moment, I think, is going to be at the 20 soul mark, but she's very tempting. I would definitely consider Phonexa if you don't have a really good red healer, and there's not a lot of them. There's really not a lot of good red healers, especially at the legendary in the 5-star level. So our last red hero, and I believe it's going to be our 10th hero that we've looked at today. They've gone through really quickly, but like I said, I'll go through in a bit more detail so you can make up your mind when they're released on Monday. It'll probably be on Monday evening that I'll put a video out in game, and we'll go over the heroes, and I'll just sort of rank them a little bit better, like from 1 to 15 once we know everything. I think the official list will probably be out. The last 5 will be out on Friday. I won't do a video then. I'll do it when they're released into the game. So moving into Barkley. I gave that away. So yeah, this, just bombs everywhere. It's really obvious. But Barkley is an awesome hero. So he's probably the most recent hero that they've got so far that they've shown us. And actually, I've just gone up against him in a war, and he was pretty hardcore still. I'm not going to lie. Like, I did struggle a little bit. He still does a lot of damage, even though he is running a team power of like 859. I did take a screenshot, which I'll try and put up on the screen now, of what he looks like with double limit breaks and emblems. So it's 300% damage to the target and then 2 random enemies. Really good for busting through taunt, because if you do have that up, it gets dealt all to the same target. And then he drops that missile fiend on. And if you defeat the target while it has the missile fiend, it gives splash damage to the nearby enemies. So he's just all about damage. And he's got a really good class as well. I think Barkley's going to be a good one if you need a nice hard-hitting damage dealer, especially for your defense teams. I think he still works really well on defense. But if he's at 20 souls and Phonexa's at 15, I'd be hard-pressed to pick Barkley over Phonexa, I'll tell you that much. So that is what we've got to look forward to so far. in the Soul Exchange, which is coming very, very soon. Please let me know in the comments what your guys' thoughts are. Let me know so far who you think you're going to be choosing. Of course, we've got 3 nature heroes still to come. And we've got 2 ice heroes still to come as well. So we will find out what they are. But for now, it's a tricky one. It's a hard one. If you, like I said, Matilda's definitely a top contender, as is Phonexa, as is Costume Guardian Panther. So there are some really, really good heroes in here as well. So let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. Please do drop us a like and subscribe to the channel as well. Share it with your mother. And I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.